Hello everyone, today we're offering our first video in a short series on the how-tos of snowshoeing. Video number one is going to be how to plan that first snowshoeing trip. So you've decided that you and your family want to take a snowshoeing adventure, but where do you begin? This is our first video in a short series to help you and your family go through the practical steps of planning and enjoying a snowshoeing outing. Now, this first video is going to be on how I plan snowshoeing trips for my family, but subsequent videos are going to be on gear and clothing, what to pack, and the basic techniques you're going to need once you get out on the trail. You'll soon be enjoying the crisp air and solitude that comes with wintertime and low crowds. Unlike most of our other videos, you're not going to see a lot of images of the outdoors today. You're not even going to see that much of me talking at you. What you are going to see are walkthroughs, screen shares of me using the websites that I use to plan my family's snowshoeing trips. Now, everything that we use is available for free. Some of them offer options for subscription memberships that unlock all sorts of features, but what we'll be using today will be the completely free versions of anything that I show you. Now, these websites are pretty specific to the United States. So if you don't live in the United States, you probably want to check this video just to see what considerations that I have as I'm planning a trip, and then find comparable resources that are appropriate for your location. But for the rest of you that are in the US, you follow along. All you need is a browser and an internet connection. Maybe you saw an article in a magazine, or maybe you have a friend who recommended a trail to you. But maybe you have no idea where you want to take your family snowshoeing. Well, you can explore the trails and learn some things about them by using some free online resources. Now, there are lots of apps that let you explore trails, things like Gaia or Hiking Project, but today I'm going to be showing AllTrails. Now, AllTrails is one of the applications we're going to be showing today that does offer a subscription and membership option, but how I'm going to be using it is completely free to you. So after going to alltrails.com, you can click on the Explore button in the upper left-hand corner. So it's going to zoom into a location near you. All of these green circles contain a number, and that number is the number of trails that are roughly in the area of that green circle. If you click on it, it's going to zoom in closer to that area. Now, of course, you can manually drag your screen to move the map, and you can zoom in and out as you need. So let's say I was interested in this Mayflower Gulch route. You can see by hovering over it, I get some limited information. That it's in the White River National Forest, that it's of moderate difficulty. That usually has to do with how much elevation change there is. That it's rated 4.5 stars by 848 people. So I think people seem to like it. Its length is 6.1 miles, that's round trip. And the estimated round trip time is about 3 hours or 28 minutes. Now keep in mind that most of those people putting in trip times are going to be summer hikers, so you can expect your snowshoe times to be just a little bit more lengthy. Now, using the freeware version, if I were to click on this Mayflower Gulch route, it's going to ask me to sign up. But here's a little trick we can use with the freeware. I now know the route name that I'm interested in, Mayflower Gulch. So if I type in Mayflower Gulch and AllTrails, I get sent to the deeper link within the website. So if I click on that, we now get to the Gulch Grand Traverse is the full route's name, information page, where there's photos that are available, there's a deeper description, it tells you additional pieces of information such as that it's dogs friendly, that there's good cross-country skiing. You get your weather forecast for the upcoming days, and you get to see some of those top reviews. So by using the Explore function in the freeware and then going back out and putting in route names plus AllTrails, you're going to be able to get to the more detailed information pages for those potential routes that you're interested in taking. Now, once you have a trail in mind, you need to verify that there's enough snow there to make it an enjoyable snowshoe outing. Now, that might not be something you have to do if you're in the middle of winter, but if you're kind of entering winter or just leaving winter, it's probably something that you want to check on. So for those of you in the US, this is where we turn to our federal government. We go to the National Operational Hydraulic Remote Sensing Center website. That's a division of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. So here we are at the National Operational Hydraulic Remote Sensing Center website. You see the web address up here. Now I'm going to use this website to figure out if there's enough snow coverage for the route that my family and I are interested in taking. I'm going to do that by figuring out how much snow depth there is in the area. So using the left shoulder, I'm going to use the interactive maps link. I'm going to click on it. And its default is snow water equivalent. You can see here again in the upper left hand corner. Now that's how much water you would have if you were to melt the snow. That's not really what we want. What we want is the snow depth. So I'm going to choose this menu, pull down to snow depth. And as soon as I zoom in, which I can do by creating a rectangle, dragging a rectangle over the area I want to visit, you're going to see that now we have inches of snow depth over here on the right-hand side. So the route I was looking at was just outside of Breckenridge. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer to that area. And you can see that generally in that area, without getting too precise, that I'm looking at anywhere from 4 down in the valleys and in here in town, up to more like 16 to 20 inches of snow depth. So this is going to be just fine for a snowshoeing trip with me and the family. Well, for many of you, this will be enough for you to plan your route. For others of you who live in more mountainous regions and perhaps are more experienced, want to get deeper into the backcountry, you're going to want to make sure that your route isn't going through or below any avalanche terrain. Now to do that, I use the excellent mapping website Caltopo. Now Caltopo is another one of those services that you can pay for to unlock certain tools, but again, I'll be showing you how to use it in its free version. Now I'm going to go to caltopo.com and click on Start Mapping. Now I like to layer in Forest Service maps because they have Forest Service roads. And a lot of Forest Service roads make excellent snowshoeing routes. So I'm going to add Stack Base Layer and use the Forest Service map. You can see the Forest Service areas are now colored in. I can change the opacity of that map so I can see its information plus the information on the Map Builder topo above it. Now I can click, hold, and drag my map to center it. Then I can hit the plus button to zoom in. Now obviously I'm going to have a pretty outstanding sense of topography to find anything this way. So another option is to simply type in the name of the location I'm looking for. I can use any name that can be found on a topographic map. So lakes, rivers, mountaintops, towns. Click on Go. And you can see it takes me to the Mayflower Gulch Trailhead and the Mayflower Gulch Trail. Now let's say I was planning a more ambitious outing and I wanted to get to the top here of Mayflower Hill. Now it might be tempting to simply take the Mayflower Gulch Trail, tracing with my cursor here, and then cut over to the Pacific Creek, which is going to be frozen over and snowed over, moving into this basin, up to the saddle, and then across the ridge to Mayflower Hill. Besides going up the southwest face, that might be the most direct path I can take. But what about avalanche danger? So I can check whether or not I'm going to be in avalanche terrain by using the slope angle shading option here on the right. Click to activate. Now you can see that there's a legend here with color-coded slope angles. Now most avalanches happen between 30 and 45 degrees. Now they can happen at steeper angles and at flatter angles, but that yellow, orange, and red set of numbers are going to be the angles you want to avoid. You can see those angles corresponding with the shading on the map. If I zoom in to Pacific Creek, you can see that while I'm able to walk on flatter terrain, I'm crossing underneath these two potential slide paths. Now, that seems like a bad thing to do, be under avalanche terrain. So let's find something where I can avoid avalanche terrain or stay above avalanche terrain. And ridgebacks are usually the easiest way to do that. So I can see here there's another potential path that moves around north from the trailhead, grabs the shoulder here, and I can find a way up onto the ridgeback, up to Mayflower Hill. Now, while I am going to be crossing on the ridgeback above potential avalanche terrain, if that avalanche terrain is below me, I'm not in any particular danger. And that's why ridgebacks are
excellent paths when you have unstable snow conditions. Now, if I want to guarantee that I'm going to be able to find that path as I'm out in the backcountry, I can mark a route here in Caltopo and then export it to either my GPS device or to Google Earth. So I can move over here to Add New Object, click on Line. I can zoom in and start to create this path. Now I can be as accurate or as sloppy as I desire. I can still click, hold, and drag without committing to drawing more on my route. We can zoom back in. Up the ridgeback. And to the top. Now I can name this route and click OK. Now moving up here to the toolbar, I can click on Export, and you can see that I have GPX for a GPS device or KML for Google Earth. I'm going to select a GPX. It's now been exported to my download folder where I can find it, move it to my desktop or someplace else on my drive where I want to keep it, and then export it to the device of your choice.
Now that you know where you want to go and what route you want to take, you need to know what days to avoid, what clothing to wear, and maybe what time of day might be optimal for you and your family to be getting out. So for weather information, I again turn to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, but this time to their main homepage.
So I'm going to head to the NOAA.gov homepage, move over to the upper right-hand corner, and click on Find Your Local Weather. Now this time I want to type in a city that is near where I want to be snowshoeing. And then select See Full Local Forecast. Now if I scroll down the page and find this map, you can see this bright green box. Now that is the area bounding what's being forecasted on the website. I can change that area. So if I click, hold, and drag the map again to center, I can zoom in and find the place where I am going to be snowshoeing. In this case, it's along Mayflower Creek. Now left-clicking once on the map will select a new forecast area. As the page refreshes, I can now see a new forecast summary across the top with a little bit more information in what they call the detailed forecast, but it's really still just a summary forecast. But you can see that the forecast area has now been selected for the area that I'm going to be snowshoeing. If I continue to scroll down, I see this hourly weather forecast graph. That's where the truly useful detailed information is going to reside. Click on that. So looking at the graph, the first thing I want you to notice are these gray bars that run down all of the graphs. Now, time is across the horizontal axis. So these are the times when the sun is down. So if we were to say look at Monday, November the 30th, we can see that the sun's going to come up just after 7 a.m. and just before 5 p.m. So if I want a daylight snowshoe with my family, I need to fit it within that time window. Now, temperature is at the top of the graph. The red line is the ambient or actual temperature. You can see that as the sun's rising, it's going to be about 10 degrees Fahrenheit, climbing up to a high of roughly 22, 23 degrees. But there's also going to be wind chill, and that's the blue line. That's the temperature you're going to be feeling because of the wind blowing cold air on you. At sunrise, it's going to be just below 0 degrees. At the hottest part of the day, it's going to feel like it's about 13 degrees. So we're going to want to dress appropriately for that. Now we can know more about the wind conditions by looking at the next section of the graph. Again, over time, you can see from the light purple line what the average wind speed is going to be. And here you can see that for Monday it's going to be around 8 miles per hour, climbing to just around 10 or maybe a little bit faster miles per hour. but there are also going to be wind gusts towards the later part of the morning and into the afternoon, not early in the morning here. You can tell because there's no dark purple line, but then it picks up. That dark purple line is the wind gust speed, and you can see that it's going to be just above 50 miles per hour, maybe getting as high as 20 later in the afternoon. Now these little flags you see coming out of the light purple line is the wind direction. It's the direction the wind is coming from. So you can see over the course of Monday, it's mostly going to be coming out of the west. If we were to say, look at right now, Sunday afternoon, you can see that it's coming out of the north. The north is the top part of your page. So just view your compass rose in that orientation, north to the top, south to the bottom. The next section of the graph will tell us precipitation potential and sky cover. Now you can see this brown line is kind of pegged at 0 here for a little while. So there's very little precipitation chance. You're seeing 1%, 3%, until it looks like we're getting a front moving in. And we have a much higher, closer to 50% chance precipitation moving into Tuesday. But we also care about the cloud cover, because that's going to tell us how much sunshine we're going to be having on us. And just a little bit of sun, not being in the shade for a while, can make a big difference in how warm you feel. So sunny days, obviously, those bluebird days make for more pleasant outings. You can see that the cloud cover, again, is very low, 9, 10%, 8%, until we get this front moving in into Tuesday morning. Now, if there were to be rain precipitation, you would see that in the next section of the graph. You can see that the rainwater equivalent is showing up here, 0.02 inches in the morning Tuesday. That's really going to be showing up as snow, 0.3 inches of snow depth showing up on Tuesday morning. Now, in the summertime, we're probably not so concerned about snow, but you might be concerned about thunder and with it the potential of lightning. So you're going to get the chance of thunderstorms showing up on the graph as well, again by time. And if you're in those shoulder seasons, freezing rain, sleet, those are options that you can turn on in the graph as well. You turn on options through these check boxes here above the graph.
So with no additional outlay of money and using just the internet, you can now find a location and plan your family's next snowshoeing adventure. You also have the skills you need to plan a more advanced trip as your interests progress and you want to get deeper into the backcountry. Now, our next video on snowshoeing is going to be about gear and clothing so that you and your family can have a safe and enjoyable snowshoeing trip. Now, as we commit to each other to take these snowshoeing outings this winter, what are you and your family looking for in a snowshoeing location? Is it ease of access? Is it quiet and solitude? Maybe it's that summer location that you've never managed to see in the winter. Let us know in the comments below. Now, if you found this video helpful or useful, please hit that like button. If you want to be alerted to that next snowshoeing video or any video that Short Guys Beta Works releases, please subscribe and ring that bell. And as always, if you have ideas on content you'd like to see, you can drop those in the comments because we want to be as helpful as we can as you and your family continue to get more out of the big outside.